Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Chapter 1. Maitreya Uvacha. Manostu Shatarupayam Tisrah Kanyascha Jagnire Akutirdevahutischa Prasutiriti Vishrutaha. Sri Maitreya said, Swayambhuva Manu begot 3 daughters in his wife Satarupa, and their names were Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti. Akutim ruchaye pradad apibratrumatim nrupaha putrika dharmamashritya shatarupānumoditaha. Akuti had 2 brothers, but in spite of her brothers, King Swayambhuva Manu handed her over to Prajapati Ruchi on the condition that the son born to her be returned to Manu as his son. This he did in consultation with his wife Satarupa. Prajapatis sa Bhagavan Ruchistasyamajijanat Mitunam Brahmavarchasvi Paramena Samadhina. Ruchi, who was very powerful in his Brahmanical qualifications and was appointed one of the progenitors of living entities, begot 1 son and 1 wife by his wife Akuti. Yastayoh Purushas Sakshad Vishnur-yajñasvarupadhruk Yastri sa dakshina bhuter amshabhutanapayini. Of the 2 children born of Akuti, the male child was directly an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his name was Yajna, which is another name of Lord Vishnu. The female child was a partial incarnation of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, the eternal consort of Lord Vishnu. Aninye swagruham putriyaha putram vitatarochisham swayam bhuvo muda yukto ruchir jagraha dakshinam. Swayambhuva Manu very gladly brought home the beautiful boy named Yajna, and Ruchi, his son-in-law, kept with him the daughter Dakshina. Tam kamayanam bhagavan uvahayajusham patihi tushtayam toshamapanno janayadvadashatmajan. The lord of the ritualistic performance of Yajna later married Dakshina, who was anxious to have the personality of Godhead as her husband, and in this wife the Lord was also very much pleased to beget 12 children. Toshaf Pratoshah Samtosho Bhadrashantiridhaspatihi. Idmah Kavirvibus Swagraha Sudevo Rochano Dvishat. The 12 boys born of Yajna and Dakshina were named Tosha, Pratosha, Santosha, Bhadra, Shanti, Idaspati, Idma, Kavi, Vibhu, Swaha, Sudeva, and Rochana. Tushita namate deva asan swayambhuvantare marichi mishra ऋषयो यज्ञः सुरगणेश्वरः. During the time of Swayambhuva Manu, these sons all became the demigods, collectively named the Tushitas. Marichi became the head of 7 rishis, and Yajna became the king of the demigods, Indira. Priyavratottanapadau Manuputrau Mahaujasau Tatputrapautranruptrunam Anuvrittam Tadantaram. Swayambhuva Manu's 2 sons, Priyavrata and Uttanapada, became very powerful kings, and their sons and grandsons spread all over the 3 worlds during that period. Devahuti Madattata Kardamayatmajam Manuhu Tatsambandhi Shrutaprayam Bhavata Ghadato Mama. My dear son, Swayambhuva Manu handed over his very dear daughter Devahuti to Kardama Muni. I have already spoken to you about them, and you have heard about them almost in full. Dakshaya Brahmaputraya Prasutim Bhagavan Manuhu Prayachadyatkritah Sargas Trilokyam Vitato Mahan. Swayambhuva Manu handed over his daughter Prasuti to the son of Brahma named Daksha, who was also one of the progenitors of the living entities. The descendants of Daksha are spread throughout the 3 worlds. Yah Kardamasutah Prokta Navabrahmarshi Patnayah Tasam Prasuti Prasavam Prochyamanam Nibodame. You have already been informed about the 9 daughters of Kardama Muni, who were handed over to the 9 different sages. I shall now describe the descendants of those 9 daughters. Please hear from me. Patni Marichestu Kala Suchave Kardamatmaja Kashyapam Purnimanam Cha Yayora Puritam Jagat. Kardama Muni's daughter Kala, who was married to Marichi, gave birth to 2 children whose names were Kashyapa and Purnima. Their descendants are spread all over the world. Purnima Sutta Virajam Vishwagam Cha Parantapa Devakulyam Haref Pada Shauchadhya Bhut Saridhivaha. My dear Vidura, of the 2 sons, Kashyapa and Purnima begot 3 children, namely Viraja, Viswaga, and Devakulya. Of the 3, Devakulya was the water which washed the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead and which later on transformed into Ganges of the heavenly planets. अत्रेः पत्न्या अत्रेः पत्न्यन अत्रेः पत्न्यनसूया त्रिज्ञे सुरशसः सुतान् दत्तं दुर्वाससं सोमम् आत्मेश ब्रह्मसम्भवान् अत्रेः पत्न्यः अनुसूया त्रीन् जज्ञे सुयशसः सुतान् दत्तं दुर्वासमं सोमम् आत्मेश ब्रह्मसम्भवान्. Today is Thursday, Guruvaram. We are hearing about Dattatreya Jananam in Shrimad Bhaghavatam. Hare Krishna. Anusuya, the wife of Atri Muni, gave birth to three very famous sons, Soma, Dattatreya and Durvasa, who were partial representations of Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Soma was a partial representation of Lord Brahma. Dattatreya was a partial representation of Lord Vishnu and Durvasa was a partial representation of Lord Shiva. Vidura uvacha atre gruhe surasreshtaha stityutpatyanta hetavaha kinchit chikirshavo jata etadakyahi me guro. After hearing this, Vidura inquired from Maitreya, "My dear master, how is it that the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, who are the creator, maintainer and destroyer of the whole creation, became the offspring of the wife of Atri Muni?" Maitreya uvacha brahmana chodita sruštva brahmana chodita sruštva atrir brahma vidam varaha saha patnyaya vruksham kuladrim tapasistitaha. Maitreya said, when Lord Brahma ordered Atri Muni to create generations after marrying Anusuya, Atri Muni and his wife went to perform several austerities in the valley of the mountain known as Riksha. Tasmin prasutastabaka palasha shoka kanane varbhih sravadbirudgushte nirvindhyaya samantataha. In that mountain valley flows a river named Nirvindhya. On the bank of the river are many Ashoka trees and other plants full of palasha flowers, and there is always the sweet sound of water flowing from a waterfall. The husband and wife reached that beautiful place. Pranayamena samyamya manovarsha-shatam munihi atishtadeekapadena nirdvandvo nilabhojanaha. There the great sage concentrated his mind by the yogic breathing exercises, and thereby controlling all attachment, he remained standing on one leg only, eating nothing but air, and stood there on one leg for 100 years. Sharanam tam prapadyeham ya eva jagadishwaraha prajamatmasamam mahyam prayacchatviti chintayan. He was thinking, may the Lord of the universe, of whom I have taken shelter, kindly be pleased to offer me a son like him. Tapyamanam tribhuvanam pranayamaidhamagnina nirgatena muner murdnaha samiksha prabhavasrayah prabhavastrayah. While Atri Muni was engaged in these severe austerities, a blazing fire came out of his head by virtue of his breathing exercise, and that fire was seen by three principal deities of the three worlds. Apsaro Munigandharva Siddhavidyadharo Rarauhu Siddhavidyadharo Ragaihi Vitayamana Yashasaha Tadashramapadam Yayuhu. At that time, the three deities approached the hermitage of Atri Muni, accompanied by the denizens of the heavenly planets, such as the celestial beauties, the Gandharvas, the Siddhas, the Vidyadharas, and the Nagas. Thus they entered the ashrama of the great sage who had become famous by his austerities. Tatpradurbhava samyoga Vidyotitamana munihi uttishtanekapade dadarsha vibhudarshabhan. The sage was standing on one leg, but as soon as he saw that the three deities had appeared before him, he was so pleased to see them all together that despite great difficulty, he approached them on one leg. Pranamya dandavad bhumav upataster hananjalihi. Vrushasam sasuparnastan Chishvaitan. Thereafter, he began to offer prayers to the three deities who were seated on different chariots, a bull, a swan, and a Garuda. A bull, a swan, and Garuda, and who held in their hands a drum, a kusha grass, and a discus. The sage offered them his respects by falling down like a stick. Krupavalokena hasad vadanenopalambhitan tadrochisha pratihate nimilya munirakshini. Atri Muni was greatly pleased to see that the three devas were gracious towards him. His eyes were dazzled by the effulgence of their bodies, and therefore he closed his eyes for the time being. Chetastat pravanam yujjan nastavit samhatanjalihi slakshnaya suktaya vacha sarvalokagariyasaha. Atriruvacha vishwodbhavastitilayeshu vibhajyamanair maya gunairanuyugam vigruhrita dehaha te brahma vishnu girisha pranatosmyaham vastebhyah kayeva bhavatam ma iho pahutaha. But since his heart was already attracted by the deities, somehow or the other, he gathered his senses, and with folded hands and sweet words, he began to offer prayers to the predominating deities of the universe. The great sage Atri said, "O Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, you have divided yourself into three bodies by accepting the three modes of material nature, and as you do in every millennium, for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all of you and beg to inquire whom of you three I have called by my prayer. Eko mayeha Bhagavan vividha pradhanaishchitti prajananaya katam nu yuyam atragatastanu manasopi durad Bhuta prasidata mahaniha vismayo me. I called for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, desiring a son like him, and I thought of him only. But although he is far beyond the mental speculation of a man, all three of you have come here. Kindly let me know how you have come, for I am greatly bewildered about this. Maitreya uvacha iti tasya vacha shrutva trayaste vibhudarshabhaha pratyahu slakshnaya vacha prahasya tamrushim prabho. The great sage Maitreya continued, upon hearing Atri Muni speak in this way, the three great deities smiled, and they replied in the following sweet words. Deva uchuhu yata krutaste sankalpo bhavyam te naiva nanyata satsankalpasya te brahman yadvaidhyayati te vayam. The three deities told Atri Muni, Dear Brahmana, you are perfect in your determination, and therefore, as you have decided, so it will happen. It will not happen otherwise. We are all the same person upon whom you are meditating, and therefore we have all come to you. Atasmadam shabhutaste atmaja loka vishrutaha Bhavitarogam badram te visrapsyanti cha te yashaha. You will have sons who will represent a partial manifestation of our potency, and because we desire for all good fortune for you, those sons will glorify your reputation throughout the world. Yevam kamavaram dattva pratijagmuh sureshwaraha sabhajitastayo samyag dampatyor mishatostataha. Thus, while the couple looked on, the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, disappeared from that place after bestowing upon Atri Muni the benediction. Somo bhut brahmano shena Somo bhut brahmanoshmena datto vishnostu yogavit durvasaha samskarasyamsho vibhodangirasaf prajaha. Thereafter, from the partial representations of Brahma, the moon god was born to them. From the partial representation of Vishnu, the great mystic Dattatreya was born, and from that partial representation of Shankara, Lord Shiva, Durvasa was born. Now you may hear from me of the many sons of Angira. Shraddha Twangirasaf Patni Chatasro Sruta Kanyakaha Shinivali Kahuraka Chaturtyanumatistaya Chatusyanumatistata. Angira's wife, Shraddha, gave birth to 4 daughters named Shinivali, Kahu, Raka, and Anumati. तत्पुत्रावपरावास्तां क्यातौ स्वारोचिषेन्तरे उतस्तो भगवान् साक्षात् ब्रह्ममिष्टश्च बृहस्पतिः. Besides these 4 daughters, she also had another 2 sons. One of them was known as Utatya and the other was learned scholar Brihaspati. Pulastyo janayat patnyam agastam agastyam cha havirbhuvi सोऽन्यजन्मनि दह्राग्निर्विश्रवाश्च महातपाः. Pulastya begot his wife Havirbhu, one son of the name Agastya, who in his next birth became Daharagni. Beside him, Pulastya begot another very great and saintly son, whose name was Visrava. Tasya yaksha patirdevaha kuberastvida Ravanah kumbhakarnascha tatanyasyaam vibhishanaha. Visrava had 2 wives. The first wife was Idavida, from whom Kubera, the master of all yakshas, was born, and the next wife was named Keshini, from whom 3 sons were born, Ravana, Kumbhakarna and Vibhishana. Pulahasya gatir bharya trina suta sati sutan karmasreshtam variyamsam sahishnum cha mahamate. Gati, the wife of the sage Pulaha, gave birth to 3 sons named Karmasreshta, Variyan and Sahishnu, and all of them were great sages. Kratorapi kriya bharya balakilyana suyata Rishin shashti sahasrani jwalato brahma tejasa. Kratau's wife Kriya gave birth to 60,000 great sages named Valakilyas. All these sages were greatly advanced in spiritual knowledge, and their bodies were illuminated by such knowledge. Urjayam Jagnire putriya Vasishtasya parantapa Chitraketu pradanaste Sapta brahmarshayo malaha. The great sage Vashishta begot his wife Urja, sometimes called Arundhati. 7 spotless great sages, headed by the sage named Chitraketu. The great sage Vasishta begot in his wife Urja, sometimes called Arundhati, 7 spotless great sages, headed by the sage named Chitraketu. Chitraketu surochischa viraja mitra evacha ulbano vasu brudhyano dhruman kshatyadayo pare. The names of the 7 sages are as follows. The names of these 7 sages are as follows: Chitraketu, Surochi, Viraja, Mitra, Ulbana, Vasubhardhyana, and Dushman. Some other very competent sons were born from Vashishta's other wife. Chittistvartyavana patni लेभे पुत्रं घृतव्रतं दद्यश्चमश्वशिरसं भृगोर्वंशं निबोध मे. Chitti, wife of the sage Atharva, gave birth to a son named Asvasira by accepting a great vow called Dadyanka. Now you may hear from me about the descendants of the sage Bhrigu. Bhruguh Mahabhagah Kayatyam Bhruguh Kayatyam Mahabhagah Patnyam Putranajījanat Dhātāram cha vidātāram Shriyam cha Bhagavatparam. The sage Bhrigu was highly fortunate. In his wife, known as Kayati, he begot 2 sons named Data and Vidata, and 1 daughter named Shri, who was very much devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ayatim niyatim chaiva sute merustayodharat sute merustayoradat tabhyam tayorabhavatam mrukanda pranayevacha. The sage Meru had 2 daughters named Ayati and Niyati, whom he gave in charity to Datta and Vidatta. Ayati and Niyati gave birth to 2 sons, Mrukanda and Prana. Markandeyo Mrukandasya Pranadvedashira Munihi Kavischa Marghavo Yasya Bhagavanusana Sutaha. From Mrukanda, Markandeya Muni was born, and from Prana, the sage Vedashira, whose son was Usana Sukracharya, also known as Kavi. Thus, Kavi also belonged to the descendants of the Bhrigu dynasty. Tayete munaya shakter lokan sargairabhavayan yesha kardama santana katitastava shrunvata shraddadhanasya sadyah papaharah paraha prasutim manavim daksha upayeme yajatmajaha. My dear Vidura, the population of the universe was thus increased by the descendants of these sages and the daughters of Kardama. Anyone who hears the description of this dynasty with faith will be relieved from all sinful reactions. Another of Manu's daughters, known as Prasuti, married the son of Brahma named Daksha. Tasyam sasarjaduhitruh shodashamalalochanaha trayodashadadharmaya tataikamagnaya vibhuhu. Daksha begot 16 very beautiful daughters with lotus-like eyes in his wife Prasuti. Of these 16 daughters, 13 were given in marriage to Dharma, and 1 daughter was given to Agni. Pitrubhyah yekam yuktebhyo bhavayaikam bhavaschide shraddha maitri daya shantis tushtihi pushti kriyonnatihi Shraddha Maitri Daya Shantis Tushtihi Pushti Kriyonnatihi. बुद्धिर्मेधा तितिक्ष्णा ह्रीर्मूर्तिर्धर्मस्य पत्न्यः श्रद्धा सूतशुभं मैत्री प्रसादमभयं दया शान्तिः सुखं मुदं तुष्टिः श्मयं पुष्टिरसूयत योगं क्रियोन्नितिर्दर्पम् अर्थं बुद्धिरसूयत मेधा स्मृतिं तितिक्षातु क्षेमं ह्रीः प्रक्षयं सुतं मूर्तिः सर्वगुणोत्पत्तिर्नरनारायणावृषि. Of the remaining two daughters, one of the remaining two daughters was given in charity to Pitruloka, where she resides very amicably, and the other was given to Lord Shiva, who is the deliverer of sinful persons from material entanglement. The names of the 13 daughters of Daksha who were given to Dharma are Shraddha, Maitri, Daya, Shanti, Tushti, Pushti, Kriya, Unnati, Buddhi, Medha, Titiksha, Hri, and Murti. These 13 daughters produced the following sons. Shraddha gave birth to Shubha, Maitri produced Prasada, Daya gave birth to Abhaya, Shanti gave birth to Shukha, Tushti gave birth to Muda, Pushti gave birth to Smaya, Kriya gave birth to Yoga, Unnati gave birth to Darpa, Buddhi gave birth to Artha, Medha gave birth to Smruti, Titiksha gave birth to Kshama, and Hri gave birth to Prasraya. Murti, a reservoir of all respectable qualities, gave birth to Sri Naranarayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yayorjanmanyadho vishvam abhyanantat sunirvrutam manamsi kakubho vataha prasedu saritodrayaha. On the occasion of the appearance of Naranarayana, the entire world was full of joy. Everyone's mind became tranquil, and thus in all directions the air, the rivers, and the mountains became pleasant. Divyavadhyantaturyani petuh kusumavrushtayaha munayastushtuvustushta Jagurgandharva kinnaraha nrityanti smatriyo devya asit paramamangalam deva brahmadaya sarve upatasturabhishtavaihi. In the heavenly planets, bands began to play, and they showered flowers from the sky. The pacified sages chanted Vedic prayers. The denizens of the heaven, known as Gandharvas and Kinnaras, sang. The beautiful damsels of the heavenly planets danced. And in this way, at the beginning of the appearance of Naranarayana, all signs of good fortune were visible. Just at that time, great demigod like Brahma also offered their respectful prayers. Yo Deva Uchuhu Yo Mayaya Virachitam Nijayatmanidam Sverupabhedamiva Tatpratichakshnaya Chakshanaya Yetena Dharma Sadane Rushimurtinadhya Praduschakara Purushaya Namah Parasmai. The demigod said, "Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the transcendental personality of Godhead, who created as his external energy this cosmic manifestation, which is situated in him as the air and the clouds are situated in space, and who has now appeared in the form of Nara Rishi in the house of Dharma. Soyam sthitivyatikaropashamaya srushtan satvena nah suraganananumeya tattvaha दृश्याददभ्रकरुणेन विलोकनेन यच्छ्रीनिकेत ममलं क्षिपतारविन्दम्. Let the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is understood by truly authorized Vedic literature and who has created peace and prosperity to destroy all calamities of the created world, be kind enough to bestow his glance unto the demigods. His merciful glance can supersede the beauty of the spotless lotus flower, which is home of the goddess of fortune. Evam suragaнаистата भगवन्तावभीष्टुतौ लब्धावलोकैर्ययुतुर् अर्चितौ गन्धमादनं लब्धावलोकैर्ययुतुर् अर्चितौ गन्धमादनम्. Maitreya said, O Vidura, thus the demigods, worshipped with prayers of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing as the sage Nara Narayana, the Lord glanced upon them with mercy and then departed for Gandhamadana hill. Tavimau vai bhagavato hareramsha vihagatau भारव्यायाय च भुवः कृष्णौ यदुकुरुद्वहौ. That Narayana Rishi, who is a partial expansion of Krishna, has now appeared in the dynasties of Yadu and Kuru in the form of Krishna and Arjuna respectively, to mitigate the burden of the world. Swaha bhimaninashchagrer atmajam strina jijanat pavakam pavamanam cha suchim cha huta bhojanam. The predominating deity of the fire begot in his wife Swaha 3 children named Pavaka, Pavamana and Suchi, who exist by eating the oblations offered to the fire of sacrifice. तेभ्योऽज्ञयः समभवन् चत्वारिंशश्च पञ्च च तये वैकोनपश्चाशात् साकं पितृपितामहैः. From those 3 sons, another 45 descendants were generated, who are also fire gods. The total number of fire gods is therefore 49, including the fathers and the grandfather. Vaitanike karmani yen nama bhir brahmavadibhihi agneya ishtayo yajne nirupyante jnayastute. These 49 fire gods are the beneficiaries of the oblations offered in the Vedic sacrificial fire by impersonalist Brahmanas. अग्निश्वाता बहिर्षदः सोम्याः पितर आज्यपाः साग्नयो नग्नयस्तेषां पत्नी दाक्षायणी स्वधा. The Agniswathas, the Barhishadas, the Saumyas, and the Ajyapas are the Pitas. There are 8. They are either Sagnika or Niragnika. The wife of all these Pitas is Swada, who is the daughter of King Daksha. Tebhyo dadhara kanye dve vayunam dharinim Swada ubhe te brahmavadinyau jnana vijnana parage. Swada, who was offered to Pitas, begot 2 daughters named Vayuna and Dharani. Both of them were impersonalists and were expert in transcendental and Vedic knowledge. Bhavasya patni tu sati bhavam deva manuvrata atmana sadrusham putram naleve gunashilatah. The 16th daughter, whose name was Sati, was the wife of Lord Shiva. She did not produce a child, although she always faithfully engaged in the service of her husband. Pitarya pratirupe sve bhavayanagase Ashraudavatmanatmanam ajahadyoga samyuta. The reason is that Sati's father Daksha used to rebuke Lord Shiva in spite of Shiva's faultlessness. Consequently, before attaining a mature age, Sati gave up her body by dint of yogic mystic power. Thus ends the chapter entitled Genealogical Table of the Daughters of Manu. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.